Since this is like a first stream in a long time, I gotta make sure that my audio is working. Damn, it's been a while. But this time though, we're back. We're back for real. Hopefully. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're back for real. Hopefully, nothing stops this train. Um, while I'm on here checking, making sure that my audio is working properly on this live stream, I just want to ramble, which is why the channel name is Yapper. You know what I'm saying? I'm yapping. If you're not used to that by now, if you didn't catch the name by now, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? It's yapping time. I, for a little bit, you know what I'm saying, stopped making videos because I wasn't sure what I was doing. I wasn't really happy with the content I was making. Um, you know, like I feel like the content I was making was I don't want to say easy because still required a lot of time, a lot of you know, research ahead of time. But I felt like it was draining. The type of content I was making felt like it wasn't really fulfilling to me. Like it wasn't really fulfilling to me, and I wasn't getting the most out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like that wasn't my true calling when I have, you know, other things I could be talking about besides who's, you know, what Kai Cenat is doing this week. Let me see. Like it wasn't really fulfilling to me, and I wasn't getting the most out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I felt like that wasn't my. Hold on, I feel. Okay, bet. Audio is working. So, yeah, long story short, I didn't feel really fulfilled making that kind of content. So I said, what, you know, things that I really enjoy, let me make content about those things instead. Things that I actually read on a daily basis. You know, a little bit of my background in case anybody watches this in the future. I'm in the technology field, I'm in the IT field, and I am sysadmin, DevOps, whatever you want to call it. But my title is really sysadmin, but I really do DevOps position. But anyways, and I work at a bank. So, and I've always been interested in finance since I was in middle school. That's something that, you know, I'm really passionate about. Not something that I am, let's say, higher education educated on. No, but do I have knowledge in it because I work day to day, hand in hand with some people in finance? Yes, but I am not college educated in finance. I don't have a degree in finance, but I am educated in the computer field. With that being said, though, with that being said, we have. I don't want to waste time. Damn, I'm so rusty. Let's see. I'm so rusty, man. It's been a minute. I forgot how to communicate, how to talk, how to enunciate. I feel like everything I'm saying is yeah, I gotta enunciate my words. Anyways, enough of this. Welcome back. You know what I'm saying? To all those who used to watch. Sorry I took that long break, and I, you know what I'm saying, and I just had to redirect. And if this isn't your style of content, I understand. Feel free to unsubscribe, because that's the direction I think is worth my time, or direction that makes the most sense for me based on career path and trajectory. Yeah, and things I actually enjoy talking about instead of like talking about freaking Kai Cenat. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not a lot of people care about that, and I personally don't care about that. But anyways, we have a lot of stuff cooking. This monitor right here is my Streamlabs. I want to make sure I can see in case it goes down, or something else is going wrong. So you can see it, no problem, or you can't see it. Also no problem. Let me see really quickly. Man, it's been so long. It's been so long. Okay. All right, let's start talking about California. This is not a political debate. You know what I'm saying? Like, life is all about common sense. I am not, disclaimer, I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I am not a, whatever these people. I am independent. People who cannot form their own thoughts, I see them as less than. Like, I personally, I personally feel like the Republican side has some good arguments, and the Democrat side have some good arguments. And if you cannot discern for yourself what is, oh, I'm gonna take a little bit of this, I'm gonna take a little bit of that, and I'm gonna mix it together and make me. I think you're a sheep, quite frankly. I think if you're solely like, oh, I am Democrat, and everything they say is law, everything they do is correct, everything they do, I must abide by. I think you're. I just simply think you are a sheep. Same thing with the Republican side. If you cannot discern and form your own opinion, you're a sheep. And also that might have to deal with, a lot of things, but we're not gonna get into that because this is not that type of argument. I only made that preface because once you start talking about the Californias, the Floridas, the Texas of the world, people always think he must be a Republican or he must be a Democrat. Motherfucker, I'm neither, bro. I'm neither. I'm me. I'm just floating on the rock. You know what I'm saying? Dang. Okay. Long story short, the people in California are leaving. California is one of those states, with comes all these musicians, all the, most of the movies are shot in California because, the weather is so good and great for movies to be shot throughout the year. But now comes the issue with having most of their income be dependent on high earners, is that California is going through, God damn it. Okay. You see, when they do that, this is what you got to do. Let's see how smart this website is, by the way. I don't usually give website my real email right on the fly though. You know what I'm saying? Who cares? Let's see if they take it. Why didn't I take it my bogus email? Okay, I think they're filtering it. Okay. Damn, that's so booty cheek. That's so butt. Okay. Long story short, California is going through a drought because some of the richest people in California, they're leaving the state, and most of them, they are heading for other states like Florida. They are heading for a state like Texas. So with that being said, with most of the income in California, damn, I wanted to really read the article. Most of the income in California, because I don't want to get the statistics incorrect. Most of the income in California is generated by the wealthy people, right? And the year prior, California was making a profit, meaning that they collected more taxes than they spent on things like infrastructure, healthcare, whatever, right? Anything that the government, projects that the government had. They collected more taxes, and if you know anything about California, they tax the crap out of people over there. But because so many people are moving out, California is in a deficit. We'll be in a deficit of $68 billion. That's a lot of money to be in a deficit for 1 year of people starting to move out. It is actually crazy. And that's mostly because of the people moving out, and meaning that California will be collecting less in taxes, in fiscal year taxes. And I guess the number one question people are asking is whether or not the economy will be able to support itself. Actually, let me see if I can find that article, man. But of course, like you have the Democrats on the other side who will argue that, oh no, California is doing just fine when it actually isn't. When it actually isn't. I mean, you can't go from being profitable to being in a deficit in a year and everyone think it's just fine. It can't be. You know what I mean? There's no way. Like there's no way you can convince me of that. But like everything in politics is smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors. Everything is smoke and mirrors. I don't know why this thing is doing that. I had this thing loaded prior. Okay. Up top is not really important. So okay, so state budget analysis recently projected a record 68 billion deficit in the next fiscal year because of a 25% drop in personal income tax collection in 2023. So in 2022, they were in a net positive, meaning that they were collecting more money than they were spending. But in 2023, they are in a 68 billion deficit because of people moving out. Some cities, counties, and other local taxing authorities, particularly in San Francisco Bay Area, have recorded revenue declines. Blah 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 blah. We're really interested in the raw numbers. I want to know the percentage of people moving out because that's very important. Okay. In 2021 and 2022, about 750,000 more people left the state than moved in, according to recently released Census Bureau data. That was about as many as the total net loss of residents for all 5 years before the pandemic and early. So 750,000 people left California just in 2021 and 2022. Imagine how much money that many people have to be bringing in for it to be a deficit of 68 billion. I mean, I'm not the brightest math student, but let's do 68 billion. Like, I really wish this thing had a 68 million. Had a 100,000. Okay, 68 billion. Let's do divided by 750,000. Damn it. Okay, 750,000 per person. That's how the average income would have to be. Average tax collected for that year would have to be for them to collect that much money. So like on average, they collected 90,000, 91,000 per person just for them to be in a deficit of 68 billion. But the article continues. It says, but it's not just the sheer number of people who have left. What's different is that in each of the prior 2 years, more than 250 Californians with at least a bachelor degree moved out, while an average of 175,000 college graduates from other states settled in California, according to analysis of census data by William Frey, a demographer and booking. I mean, of course, I like to say college isn't everything. Like you don't have to be college educated to do anything. Like nowadays, a lot of people are pushing for get a trade, do something else, anything else, because you can generate income or make money from a variety of things. Really, I know I'm in tech, and I know a lot of people in tech who don't even have degrees. Like they just have certifications. But the higher the degree you have, the higher the probabilities are that you will make a higher income, unless you got it in history. That wasn't a shot at you, history majors. You can make money in history, but the probabilities, again, it's all probabilities. They are lower that you'll make a six-figure income. Okay. It continues. California is heavily dependent on high earners to meet government fiscal needs. The tax filers in the top 1% income earn about $1 million and above, have typically accounted for 40% to 45% of the state's total personal income tax revenue. Literally, if that 40 to 45% of people of that top 1% in California leave, that's literally half the income the states bring in. And this topic traversed very nicely to what I want to talk about next. Like, I think the government is so responsible. You, as a citizen, if you overspend your money or you go over your budget, there's nobody to bail you out. Either you become homeless, you don't eat for the day, you nickel and dime. You have no choice but to not spend any money and try to get by. But the government in California could be in $68 billion deficit and still do things like provide free healthcare for migrants who crossed over illegally. Like I am a migrant, you know what I'm saying? Like I want people to come over here in pursuit of a better life, which I did legally, motherfucker. Legally. Okay? If you can tell by my accent by now. But still, like I don't believe in a free loathing system. I don't believe people should get shit for free because once it's free, you don't value it. I don't believe people should be getting in just by the barrage or just coming in just for free shit. You know what I'm saying? Because once you're in the system, you see how it works. Because you work, you know what I'm saying? You work 40, 45, 50 hours a week and half of your check is getting cut. And then that shit is going to some motherfucker who's not doing anything, just sleeping all day. You know what I'm saying? Choking their chicken. Like, if somebody's severely ill, I understand. Like they need help or somebody cannot provide for themselves. But if you're an able-bodied person and you want my tax money to feed you or just because you cross over, nah, motherfucker, I'm not with it. I'm not with it. Again, that's why I had to give the disclaimer at the front. This is not like a Republican, Democrat. That's just my beliefs, personally. So, yeah. But anyways, it continued on to say, but it's not just the super rich such as Elon Musk who moved from California to Texas in 2020 and brought its company Tesla with him later. Blah, 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 blah. In the tax filing years 2020 2021, the average gross income taxpayers who had moved from California to another state was about 137,000. That was up from 75,000 in 2015 to 2016. So on average, but the thing is, income gets adjusted by state. So those people who move from California to another state, they probably won't make that much money. On average, they probably won't make 137,000 in another state because states, the range that they pay you fluctuates. Like if I moved to California, I would definitely get a six-figure, close to 200,000 based on my skills. But in another state where there isn't that many tech, companies and so forth and so on, you take what you can get, per se. Let me see. It says, the IRS and other data show that Texas has long been by far the top destination for Californians. In the years 2015-16, an individual or couple who had moved from California to Texas reportedly an average. So the people who are doing the opposite, moving from Texas to California, they're making less. Like while tax returns from the former Texans who moved to California. So the people who are moving to California from Texas, they're making way less. So they're bringing less income tax to the state. And the people who are making more, they're moving over to Texas. So it's like a complete flip-flop reversal going on. which is interesting. I personally, my number one question is how the state plan on recovering from this. What's the plan? Is there even a plan? Or they just like, it's government money. We can just print this shit anyways. Which is another question that I have regarding like the debt that the US have. Does anybody care to do anything about that? You know, like, will the US ever do anything regarding our like trillion, 800 something trillion dollars of debt? No, because Alan Greenspan said something, and I am paraphrasing here, like the US is not scared to default on its debt because we can just print the money and pay our debts. The same thing with California. They do not care about the deficit because the government can just print $68 billion and bail out California. So why would they care? Because the taxpayers are the one who's going to have to burden or secure that debt. Like, the U.S. do not care. The debt ceiling will keep going up and up and up. You know, it's gonna pass it. It's gonna surpass trillions of dollars. We're gonna spend way more in defense budget. The defense budget this year is even more. It's higher. I don't remember how much it is, but I was reading. Why not? We have the time. We have the time. Why not? 842 billion was the amount that was approved for the military. You know what I'm saying? They deserved it. Like the military people, they deserve a raise. I think it's a 5% raise that's accounted for the military and that $800 billion, whatever. But when is it gonna be like, okay, let's take care of this debt. Let's stop overspending on stuff that isn't necessary. Like, when are they gonna say, okay, maybe you don't deserve to get X, Y, and Z. Maybe let's focus on education. I don't know, man. It just makes no sense. And with all of that comes the other thing that I want to get into. California offering care for migrants. On a human side, yes, like provide care for those people who need care, right? But on a purely logical side, you can't just allow people to cross the border illegally without proper representation. Yet again, I know this sounds like some fucking shit you will hear the Republicans say, right? But on the other side, I would agree with a Democrat that says, yeah, take care of those people if they need people, because that's a humanitarian need, right? But that's why you have to be in the middle so you can discern what you really feel about the situation. Because California can't even afford to feed the people that's there or provide health care for the people that's currently there. But they're doing it, providing it for migrants who are crossing illegally just so they can have a title like this. California offer cares to more migrants. Same thing that's happening in Chicago, same thing that's happening in New York. You know, they just want a big title, like a big, we are a sanctuary city. We're providing care for the migrants. Send them here until they start sending them there, and then they start refusing them. Like, both New York and Chicago, they're like, no, we don't want the migrants. Send them back. California is in billions of dollars of deficits, but yet they're still providing free healthcare for migrants who migrated here illegally. Like, it just doesn't make any sense if you ask me. I'm sure I've not been to Cali. I do not plan on going there anytime soon. Like, if you see the streets, it's like homeless on top of homeless, homeless on top of homeless. Like, how are you gonna provide healthcare for those people? You can't even provide housing for the people on the street. You can provide healthcare for the people on the street. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, in my personal opinion. Sacramento, California, more than 700,000 migrants who entered the U.S. illegally are living in California will gain access to free health care starting Monday under one of the state's most ambiguous coverage expansion. Again, the government is just spending money frivolously just because they can. Like, there's nobody to check them. There's nobody to tell them no, because we can just print that shit and then just pass it on to the taxpayers. People like you and I. People like you and I, you know what I'm saying, who work endlessly to provide for your family, and the government just spends it. Like, it's no problem. It's an effort that will eventually cost the state about $3.1 billion per year. and inches California closer to Democrats' goal of providing universal health care to its roughly 39 million residents. But they're not providing it for migrants. Why not start the program with the residents first before the migrants? I guess those people matter more. Gavin Newsom, a lawmaker, agrees in 2022 to provide health care access to all low-income adults, regardless of their migration status, to the state Medicaid program, known as Medi-Cal. How are they gonna fund this program? You guys are like, California is already in a deficit of $68 billion. Okay, how are they? Okay, thank God the article mentioned it down below. Newsom made the commitment when the state had the largest budget surplus in its history. But as the program kicks off this week, California faces a record $68 billion budget deficit, raising questions and concerns about the economic ramification of the expansion. I don't know. I don't know how they're gonna do that. It's a win-win because it allows us to provide comprehensive care, and we believe this will help keep our communities healthier. The other thing that's going to happen is that I read a little bit into this program, right? What happens is the government is strong arming hospitals. I agree that sometimes hospitals are taking advantage of people. They're overcharging for freaking Tylenol. Like, in what world am I paying you $100-something for Tylenol? No, F that. I think those prices should also be regulated. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should get, the U.S. makes so much money, and we make so much money. We make so much in GDP. Like, we have some of the top doctors in the country, some of the top hospitals, right? Of course, money is what makes that possible because, capitalism, people want to make more money. They want to innovate even more. But why am I paying $100-something for a freaking Tylenol when I can just leave and go get it for like a whole bottle for $10? To me, that just doesn't make any sense. I think those prices should be, especially your medication and things like that, should be regulated. Like a set amount of price. Maybe if you come up with a new medication, you solve some problems, maybe you get like let's say a 10-year span where you can, maybe price it so you can recover the money that you spent on research. But after that 10 years over, the price have to come down to a market rate, affordable rate of some sort. Because at the current rate, healthcare is like damn near impossible to afford. You ever go to the hospital with a headache? Like, you come out spending like your insurance pay like $5,000 and you still have to pay like $2,000 on top of that. It's ridiculous. Like, all I had was a headache. You know what I'm saying? They give you a little IV drip, 2 Tylenol, send your ass home. You was dehydrated. Then that would be $2,000. You know what I'm saying? Plus insurance. It's ridiculous. The update will be California's largest healthcare expansion since the 2014 implementation of former President Barack Obama's Affordable Care Act. I do not know much about that program. No, it's not because I'm black, motherfucker. I was too young, which allowed states to include adults who fall below 138% of the federal poverty level. California uninsured rate dropped from about 17 to 7%. Yet again, how are they affording this? State officials estimated the expansion will cost $1.2 billion the first 6 months. Just add that on top of the $68 billion and $3.1 billion annually thereafter from the budget. Spending the Medi-Cal program, which is now about $37 billion annually, is the second largest expense in the California budget, according to analysis. These people, man, that's a great plan. I think if other countries are able to do it, I mean, it's because of high taxes. They're able to provide people with, free healthcare. Like, our neighbor Canada is able to do it. Why can't the U.S. do it? I mean, we have some of the best doctors, best hospitals, and best this, best that. We're the biggest country, number one country in the world. Why can't we provide free healthcare for our people? I mean, I think we collect enough taxes, goddammit. I barely see my checks. I think we collect enough taxes. Why can't we do that for our people? Like, I think it's possible. But from California's angle, I feel like they're always taking the stupid way around things. Let's just say that it's like so many things. Like, I just like when it makes me scratch my head on like, what were they thinking? You ever see some shit like, I know I'm not qualified politician, right? Or political major, whatever the fuck. Like, but it makes you scratch your head like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, if you try to apply some of these policies through your life, or like, let's say, if I did that, what would have happened? Like, if that was me, what would that look like? And it's never like a good look, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, let's move away from California because we already know what that shit is about. Gee! Man, a lot of you are gonna be excited about this one because who hasn't used incognito before? We all have used incognito when you're about to do the dirty deed. You know what I'm saying? When you don't want your wife to find out what you've been up to. We all use it. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? If you know just a little bit about computers, you know incognito is supposed to be incognito, invisible, so forth and so on. But as it turned out, it's not so incognito. Because Google just settles a $5 billion lawsuit over tracking users in incognito mode. As we were just thinking that incognito is like safe, you know, your browser history is deleted, no cookies, no data, you are not tracked, you are invisible. It turns out that was not the case. Google has agreed to settle a lawsuit filed in June 2020 that alleged that the company misled users by tracking their surfing activity who thought that their internet use remained private when using the incognito or private mode on a web browser. My VPN is currently off, but the best thing you can do is get you a trusted VPN. You can switch wherever you at. I'm not in Chicago because I'm tunneling down wherever. Best thing you can do is get you a VPN, man. Like, are you 100% safe? No, you are as safe as the VPN that you are using. Okay. I could go day and days about why I chose this particular VPN, but this is not. Also, keep your VPNs up to date. I'll update this as soon as I am done streaming. The class action lawsuit sought at least $5 billion in damages. Guess what? You can also get a portion of this payment if you go to class action lawsuit. I think .org or something, and you just file in, and you can get a portion of this. The settlement terms were not disclosed. The plaintiffs had alleged that Google violated federal wiretap laws and tracked users' activity using Google Analytics to collect information when in private mode. They said this allowed the company to collect an uncountable trove of information about users who assumed they had taken adequate steps to protect their privacy online. There's, like, when it comes to privacy on the internet, people don't really care. Like, I think a very minute portion of the population care. I think that it's starting to shift where more people are starting to care about their data and their privacy and things like that. Because I personally speak to some people, they're like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I know they're collecting my data. They feel almost I don't want to say useless, is not the word, like powerless against the bigger system, right? I personally use Alexa in my home, right? But I want to segment it. I segment it off my VLAN, put it on a separate VLAN so it doesn't see my personal traffic and so forth and so on. But a lot of people don't care about their personal data. They just let it be. Like, Google can just collect it, sell it, do whatever they please with it, and they do not care. So I don't think, if this wasn't brought on by some cybersecurity expert or some computer expert or some privacy focused group, the regular user don't care about this, to be honest. And I think the shift needs to happen. I think it happens with more education as to why your data is important. What could happen if your data gets leaked? I mean, most people think their information is not important anyways to begin with. They think their data is not that valuable. Like, so what? They got my email. So what? They got my phone number. But that's where it starts. Like, they can have a whole database of information on you, which could be used for a lot of different things that you're not privy to. Google subsequently attempted to get the lawsuit dismissed, pointing out the message is displayed when users turn on Chrome's incognito mode, which inform users that the activity might still be visible to website you visit, employer, school, or internet service provider. I use incognito at work. because I have two separate accounts. I have my regular account and I have my, elevated admin account. And I usually keep my admin account in incognito so I don't have to, keep logging in, signing out, and especially with Azure and things like that. It just makes it a lot more neat, at least for me. Says it's worth noting here at this point that enabling incognito or private mode in a private browser only gives users the choice to search the internet without their activity being locally saved on the browser. That said, website using advertising technologies and analytics APIs can still continue to track users within that incognito session and can further correlate the activity by, for example, matching users' IP addresses. So that's interesting. I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day. I don't remember if it was last night, but the other day regarding how, NAT works. Like natting, like you get an IP, right, per se. Like when your IP leaves your home, like I have a 10 dot something IP address in my home, like in my apartment. That's usually reserved for like businesses. Like businesses usually use a 10 dot something. I don't need that many IP addresses. I'm just messing around. But when I send out a packet out to the internet or out to the world, right, it gets natted out. So my home, your home, or even this building, apartment building, probably have a singular IP address. But I'm sure it's like by home, by connection, by each one. I'm not sure how they set it up for here, but it doesn't matter how many devices you have. I could have an iPhone, an iPad, this computer, this TV, the Alexas, and all these devices and all these lights. They all have a different IP address. The moment that it leaves this apartment, it goes to one. It's like it'd be like so many different strings, right? And as soon as it leaves, it just leaves out in one single IP address. So it really doesn't matter unless that traffic is encrypted with something like a VPN where they can read it, or like a firewall, which I kind of recommend. I personally don't use the routers provided by my ISP because F those people. I use my own. I use my own Fortinet router. I mean firewall / router. Yeah, that way my traffic is getting encrypted and I have control over, a lot of different things that they don't allow, that you can do with the ISP provided modems or routers. Google's motion hinge on the idea that plaintiffs consented to Google collecting their data while they were browsing in private mode. No, people. That's the thing. Like a lot of these things, like who reads? When is the last time someone read the term of service, like TOS? I personally have never read any TOS in my life. Like, who's like, I didn't know that. Like I feel like companies purposely hide those terms of services within their TOS or within like those agreements purposely, just so they can trick you. Just like Facebook or Meta or all these websites, they're tricking you when you accept those terms of services. They're purposely like tracking you and collecting your data and just making money as well. But a $5 billion lawsuit, though, it's nothing for Google. Like they'll just take it to the chin, because I'm sure they probably make way more than that. Let's see, what's Google's market cap? Or I should say Alphabet. Well, Alphabet market cap, Google is $1.74 trillion. Like, what's 5 billion to these folks? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like the parent company of Google is $1.74 trillion market cap. That's how much they're worth. Like that's like chicken. That's like nothing, bro. That's like peanuts, bro. So people are gonna get paid, and I'm sure Google is probably gonna continue on doing exactly what they were doing before, and nobody's gonna bat an eye, because why would they? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would they? But I hope in the future, like as more and more people learn about, why their data is important, that I don't want to say cybersecurity, that privacy becomes a focus for people or the younger generation. But I think unless we make an effort to educate, the younger folks why it's important and why they should care about their data, I think it's gonna be really hard for them to care about it because they're growing up with the tech in their hand and their palm, and they're using the TikToks, and the videos are more entertaining than the consequences per se. Like they rather flick through TikTok than caring about how much data TikTok is collecting on them or about them and the ads, and so it's gonna be a catch-22 for sure. Even for people who are in technology or in IT or within that realm, right? I think even some of them they're still not protecting or caring about their information security or caring about their privacy or data like that. So, but yeah. Anyways, I hope this year is a change. I hope I see laws get passed or people start being more vigilant around their privacy or their data and things like that. Let's see what's going on, man. Oh, yo, some of this shit you just simply cannot make it up. Some of the stuff is just you just cannot make it up. I often read the SEC. Let me turn on my. Well, I'll turn it on after the thing. There's this. I already read this. I read, which is why I mean, like it's right that I change the content I talk about because I read the FCC press releases often, and because I do that, it's like why don't I make videos about it? Who the heck reads this just for fun? Like I do. So I'm like, why not just make content out of it or just make videos about it? I'm sure somebody out there will appreciate it. Even if it's not 100,000 people, at least 10 will. The SEC charges former CEO of medical devices startup StemWave of $41 million in fraud. This reminds me, or it foreshadows, Elon Musk company Neuralink. I know it's not the same thing because Neuralink apparently is, testing on animals, and it's in trial for humans in the current stage that it's in. However, this company, the scheme they came up with, right? Scheme included creating and selling a fake medical device that was implemented into patients' bodies. Imagine you go, let's say you are paralyzed or you have schizophrenia or anything, right? Or you can't sleep, anything. And they were like, oh, there's this new technology that's going to help you get better or, sleep better or not get tired as often. And they're going to implement this piece of plastic in your brain. And it turns out that this piece of plastic is just that, a piece of worthless plastic with no actual technology in it. And that's exactly what this company did. Says December 19th, 2023, the SEC today charged Laura Tyler Perryman, the former CEO and co-founder of Florida-based, of course it's always Florida. I already knew that, but it's always Florida. When is it not Florida? Florida-based medical device startup StemWave Technologies with defrauding investors out of approximately $41 million by making false and misleading statements about one of the company's key medical device products. According to the SEC complaints, the medical device comprised several components, one of which was a fake, non-functional component that was implanted into patient's body. Imagine you have this thing in your body, right? That could cause an infection. That could get you seriously ill. Just to find out, just so you could get better, right? And you find out that it's all fake. It's not even doing anything. But you could probably think it's working because placebo works. Placebo is a form of medication, ? Placebo works. So you probably get it and think that it's working, and it turns out it works. just because you think it is. The SEC complaint alleges that during capital fundraising event from 2018 to 2019, Perryman made material misrepresentation about stem waves, peripheral nerve stimulation device, or PNS device, which perpetrated to treat chronic nerve pain by delivering electrical signal to the targeted nerves. The device consisted of three key components: a transmitter, a receiver, and an electrode array. The transmitter was worn by patients in a pouch outside of the body and sent a wireless signal into the body. A receiver and electrode array were implanted inside patients' bodies and were together supposed to receive the signal and convert it into electrical currents. Anyways, long story short, this shit was all fake. I thought it was crazy that I thought there was like a phase that they have to go through before they could get, start implementing this stuff into people's bodies, or even, oh man, this just reminded me, like, I don't remember where I was reading this, but Wall Street, or investors in general, right? They purposely like to invest in things like this, like another, oh, we can take your blood in 2 seconds. Is that Holmes? Elizabeth Holmes? Like the lady that imitates Steve Jobs. I don't want to get her name incorrect. We can get that, and if it goes well, it will skyrocket. Like, let's invest in a Tesla, like another Uber-like service that will take off. Even if it's a scam, right? We're just taking our chances, because for every bust that they have, the one that does succeed makes up for all these busts. So a lot of these like things that's promising a lot and delivering a little, they get a lot of funding because those investors know if it is real and if it does take off, there's a lot of at stake for them. I don't remember where I read that, but there's a research paper out there, excuse me, about that. So it does exist. So which would explain why somebody would get funding for something like this without any, proof of concept, or, proving that they actually have the technology and how it works, and just faking it. Let me see. According to the complaint, Perryman misrepresented to investors that the PNS device was approved by the U.S. FDA and was the only effective device of its kind on the market. The complaint also alleges that Perryman made false and misleading statements to investors about StemWave's historical revenue projection, and business model. After Perryman fraud unraveled in the fall of 2019, StemWave voluntarily recalled the PNS device and eventually filed for bankruptcy. Of course, it's not real. I could have told you that with my eyes closed, though. But man. The SEC complaint filed in the U.S. District Court charges Perryman with violating anti-fraud provisions of the federal securities law. The SEC seeks permanent injunction. Ooh. My bad. My bad. You know what I'm saying? Play El Pimp. You feel me? Oh, man. Damn. Okay. Long story short, I don't think none of these scams, or quote unquote scams, will ever end in the US because of promising returns and potential returns and forecasting, and this is the next greatest thing. And, and as long as investors are greedy to make the biggest return possible, these things will always happen or will always occur in the future. Wow. Oh boy. Damn. Oh boy, I got that neck beard. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. I'm in IT. Everybody in IT has a neck beard, or a big or long beard. You know what I'm saying? Look like a freaking damn. What's that thing? Anyways, I forgot what it's called. I just got out of work and I deal a lot with Citrix. Well, not I deal a lot. I am responsible for, this our Citrix server. From patching it, like just everything about it. Updating the image and taking the Snapchats, everything. So I read about vulnerabilities that's around things like that, around Citrix, around every other vulnerability that's out there. Keeping an eye out. Read a lot of cyber news in general, cybersecurity news, cyber dives. And I was interested, and I was reading some of these I knew about. Some of those I know about. This Wired made a list about the worst hacks of 2023. Some of the T-Mobile. Unfortunately for me, I have T-Mobile, and I know how bad they are. Terrible, 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 terrible cybersecurity or infrastructure management. InfoSec protection or I should say safeguards in place. I wonder who's managing like their cybersecurity, because T-Mobile is always getting hacked. Since I've been a customer of T-Mobile, like they're always getting hacked, and that's where I think our future generation need to care more about their personal data or their privacy, because when T-Mobile gets hacked, it's not just T-Mobile that's getting hacked. You, as a customer of T-Mobile, I am also getting hacked, because imagine all the information that they acquire from you for you to open an account with T-Mobile. You got to give them your ID, your social security number. They have your phone number, your email, your card on file. When a system gets hacked, and if the database gets hacked, and all these things are like stored together, right? Those hackers have all that information, and they could just sell that, all of it, and open cards in your name, because they have everything that they need. They have your social, they have your ID, they have your address, and they have all these things. But T-Mobile is just at the top of the list, like almost often that something is happening with them. And when it's not 37 million accounts that's getting hacked, it's something smaller. It says the wireless carrier T-Mobile has suffered a ludicrous number of data breaches in recent years. It now has the dubious distinction of being two-time winner of an honorable mention. Like, they're always getting hacked, but I guess what made them special is that they got hacked twice in 1 year. Like, you cannot make this up. You simply cannot make this up. Like, actually, yeah, I wonder. T-Mobile CISO. Chief Security Officer at T-Mobile. I mean, I'm sure this guy is very smart, but I wonder what his job is. What is he doing to secure the network at T-Mobile? Because ain't no way, my boy. Joining T-Mobile as Chief Security Officer. I'm sure this guy is super smart. But he needs to turn that ship around quick, because it looks like that post was 7 months ago. So they fired the old Chief Security Officer. But anyways, it says this year the company disclosed two breaches. One began November 22nd and ended in January, impacting 37 million current customers on both prepaid and postpaid accounts. You see what I was talking about? Attackers stole customers' names, emails, phone numbers, billing address, date of birth, account numbers, and service plan details. Like, if somebody's, you know what I'm saying, people sell that information to target you, like even with ads or whatever, that those two people search websites. That's how they make those connections about you. Like, they acquire that data and they sell it to advertisers. The second breach, which occurred between February and March, impacted less than 900 customers. It is significant though because the stolen data included full names, date of birth, address, contact information, government ID information, social security number, and like your social. Like I've always thought of your social security number as like something that's very important. Like if they have all of this information, there's nothing stopping anyone from opening cards in your name or like buying a car on your name, whatever they want to. If as long as you have the credit score worthiness to do such a thing. Yeah, but T-Mobile is just like one of those companies. Even though I am with them, that I am super cautious and always monitoring like my data on the web because T-Mobile is just atrociously known for that. Another company that got hacked this 2023, that's an honorable mention, is 23andMe. And long story short, my sister is trying to do 23andMe to find out, what part of Africa we came from. And that's something I don't want to do. Like, I don't know. I am very skeptical regarding what they do with my information once they're done. Once they send me my results. I know that they're storing my DNA somewhere else. I know that they're storing it. I know the government already has my DNA because, a lot of things I had to get my DNA done and blah, 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 get the swab. I know they have it, long story short. But to send it to a private company, even if they tell you like, oh yeah, we're storing it in a private place, we will never mess with it. These companies will tell you one thing and they'll be doing something else, just so they can profit and improve the technology and improve the shareholders. Because a company doesn't work in the best interest of the customers; it always works in the best interest of the shareholders, always. So, 23andMe was compromised. Some of its users' accounts and parlayed that access to scrape the personal data in a large number of users throughout the company's DNA relatives. The SEC filing at the beginning of December, the company said that the attacker had accessed 0.1% of user accounts, or roughly 14% per company estimate. That it has about 14 million customers. The SEC filing didn't include a large number of those impacted by the DNA relative scraping, but 23andMe ultimately confirmed to TechCrunch that the hackers collected data from 5.5 million people who had opted in the DNA relatives. Like, imagine some like random person has your DNA coding and you have beef with them and they have the knowledge and the know-how and they just fabricate some kind of virus that's specifically fabricated for your DNA and some kind of food or some kind of smell that is specifically fabricated for your DNA and it's 100% accurate to take you or do whatever they want to do. That's one thing I'm scared of. Like, once these people have your DNA, what's stopping them from fabricating something that's specifically engineered for you? It's not like a shot in the dark or, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's for you. It's not missing you. This like what scares me from all these 23andMe and all the technology of CRISPR. I don't remember what CRISPR stands for, but I know it's a technology that either MIT or Harvard, one of those Ivy Leagues, is they're working on. So you can basically create designer babies. Like you can go in and select the DNA of your kid and green eyes, blue eyes, tall, 7 foot tall basketball player built. That's gonna be scary. I don't remember what it stands for. I think it's spelled like this. Yep. CRISPR, short for clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats. Basically, folks is just designing your DNA, bruh. That's all it means. And I feel like some of this data that they're collecting from 23andMe could be collected to make this possible, CRISPR, to make the technology better. Like people who do 23andMe, they're just letting their data just be out there, and hackers are just collecting all of that data. What are they doing with it? I don't know. But to me, that's very scary. LastPass, if you're in IT, you already know about this. LastPass hacked. It's I personally have never used LastPass. I am very wary of any company that does really big ads, especially for like enterprise environments. Most of the time, because they're like at scale, such big or huge company, the security at those companies are usually laxed or not as stiff as you like for them to be. Like for example, I work at the bank, and the banks, the our security is really tight because it has to be, because we get audited often on our securities and policies and changes and every freaking thing that you can think about, right? But there's a company that installs a vendor that installs the security cameras, and long story short, their passwords are stupid. Let's just say that their passwords are really stupid. And when we questioned them regarding their password policies and why their passwords are so lax, their response was they thought that the bank security was top notch. So it doesn't matter if the password, and we're, and imagine, right? All these banks that have this system, they all have these same passwords, because this company is providing cameras for a lot of other banks, not just our bank, right? And all of these DVRs or whatever that technology that they're using is set to that same freaking password. And all a hacker got to do is really find some kind of way to pivot from that DVR to some other system. Not giving any ideas, but if other banks are using that and they don't change the password to something more complex, I think that's a very big problem. But that's the risk that you take when you use third-party vendors, and making sure that you don't leave the default password that somebody can just simply Google and find it. Because a lot of big things that enterprises use have default passwords configured in them. Moving up the list, we have the MGM hack that happened. Caesar Entertainment, that was a big one in the list. But I don't feel bad for these people, man. They're scammers, man. Scammers get scams. You know what I'm saying? MGM losing some $30 million to hackers. That's nothing, bro. That's like crumbs. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna make that in a day with people gambling and losing their money. I don't feel bad for those people at all. But again, they're gonna get paid their money back from cyber insurance, which is another big topic for this year. I think businesses. The SEC is actually coming out with some kind of law or mandate that says that a company that gets hacked, they have to report it. As long as they are publicly traded, they have a certain amount of time, I think 3 days, to report it. I haven't read too much into it. I don't want to get too far into details, but I know it's coming. And cybersecurity companies are also getting really, really big and bloated because ransomware is such a thing that we cannot combat. Caesar paid roughly half of the $30 million to attackers' demand in exchange for a promise that they wouldn't really stolen customer data. MGM probably did not pay the ransom. So the other thing too, that like if you're in the space, like you hear often, is the FBI advised that you do not pay the ransom, because that's what keeps these companies going, right? If you pay $15 million to a group of people, what my homeboy would call sweats, a group of sweats, like all they do is just sit there and sweat until they sweat. They use the computer until they sweat. They have no incentive to stop, because they have 15 million. Imagine how long that could last for a group of 10, even a group of 20. Yeah. I don't really care about the Volt Typhoon. I don't really care about that. Okta is a very big system. A lot of enterprises use Okta because they're supposed to be a security-based system, like the identity management platform. Like if you use Azure is also a identity management. Like if you're doing anything as far as SSO, or you're trying to do anything with SSO, that's usually have to use an identity manager to manage that. So anyways, unless you use something stupid like ConnectWise, which they have their own built-in SSO service, that's really trash. I don't want to get into that. But yeah, the company said at all time that about 1% of its 18,000 customers were impacted. But the company had to revise its assessment in November to acknowledge that actually all of its customer support users had those users are not regular people. Those are companies that are getting hacked. So when they say all of its customer support users have been like, that's like businesses. Because I don't know regular people who's using Okta for, identity management. You know what I'm saying? Those are like businesses. Either it's a one-person business up to like a big organization. The original 1% estimated came from companies' investigation into activity in which attackers used stolen login credentials to take over an Okta support account that had some customer systems, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, the companies who get get hacked, it's usually a reoccurring theme. Like if they get hacked once, it's most likely going to happen again, or has happened in the future, because it's usually a culture within those companies. Like they don't take security serious. They were hacked previously in 2021. Move It is a big one. Like if you work in any server environments, like you most likely have used it before. To transfer big files, to transfer files. This one took a lot of people by surprises. I know it did for me, because this was big. This was a big one. One of the most impactful hacks of 2023 wasn't a single incident, but a series of devastating breaches, beginning in May, caused by mass exploitation of vulnerability in the popular file transfer software known as Move It. The bug allowed hackers to steal data from a laundry list of international government entities and businesses, including Louisiana Office and Motors Vehicle, Shell, British Airways, and the United States Department of Energy. Progress Software, which developed Move It, patched the flaw at the end of May, and broad adoption of the fix eventually stopped the spree, but the PsyOp data extortion gang had already gone on a disastrous joyride, exploiting the vulnerabilities against as many victims as possible. Organizations are still coming forward to disclose Move It related incidents, and researchers told Wired that this trickle of updates will almost certainly continue in 2024 and possibly beyond. Yeah, this is huge. And of course, a lot of those big hacks, it's not like a regular person like me sitting in front of a computer, freaking script kiddie typing 1, 2, 3 on their keyboard doing these stuff. Like it's usually like state-based or state-funded, government-funded hacking, especially if it's hacking big companies or hacking the government. It's usually like other countries doing it. And I'm sure the U.S. is doing it to Russia as well. There are other companies out there. And one of the big one, actually I forgot, Xfinity, which is, this one is outrageous, bro. Outrageous. Xfinity hacked affect nearly 36 million customers. Like at this point, I'll fix it next time. At this point, it's like impossible to trust your data with another company. Like, it's not an ad, whatever. I personally signed up for Incogni to help me remove some of my data on the web, but it's still impossible. Like some of this data, even though you're paying a service Incogni to do it for you, some of this data you would have to manually go and delete off the internet. I think privacy is so important. That's why on social media, I personally release as little information about me as possible. Because people can put things that you like, things that you're doing, where you're at, all of those things together, right? Compiled with data that they find and compiled from hacks and things like that, and complete a profile completely about you, based on your social media and all of those sort of things and all those things that they gathered from you. So personally, I don't post anything on social media that's of a personal nature. If I post something, it's because I deem it as harmless fun, or it couldn't be tracked back to me. So that's that. And I would suggest you do the same. You know what I'm saying? Don't post anything that's really personal. Unless if your account is private, I think that's different. Unless it gets hacked. But if your account is on public, then yeah, don't do it. Comcast has more than 32 million broadband customers, according to its most recent earning reports, suggesting that the breach likely affected all Xfinity customers. Some Xfinity users continue to express frustration on Wednesday in wake of the cyber attack, said one poster on social media and contacting its customer service team. I signed in, changed password. I tried to sign out by tapping my profile icon. It states sign in, but the web page is showing my account information even though it says I'm signed out. But the thing is, what can you do? The most that you probably can do, or the most that will probably happen in these cases, is Xfinity is gonna say, "Oh, look, oh, my dog in the chat, Crystal Vision in the building, Crystal Vision in the building, Crystal Vision in the building." Like if you're a customer of Xfinity, what's gonna happen is they're gonna tell you, "Hey, go. We're gonna provide you with dark web monitoring for a year or 2 years." Why are you gonna provide me with monitoring when my data is already stolen? It's too late. It's too late. You know what I'm saying? I guess it's better than nothing. What they should have done in the first place is to protect your data from being hacked, right? But instead, after you get hacked, they provide you with this 1 year free monitoring of dark web for your data, and if they find it, they're gonna remove it, etc., etc. But by that point, the hackers already made a profit on your data, and they're already moving on. Another big thing that I personally will be watching out for this year, I think cybersecurity is going to be really huge this year, is going to be, it's already happening, by the way. It's going to be attacks on like infrastructure, like critical infrastructure, which is something I personally search on it on Google, like attacks, cyber attacks on the infrastructure, because that's going to be the next big thing. Like, I don't know if you watched that movie. What's that called? The movie made by Obama. Let me see. Obama produced movie on Netflix. I watched it. Working what we do all day. I don't know what the fuck that shit is called. It's this. Okay, I don't know if they made it, but that's how I leave the world behind. That movie. Like when I watch that movie, Leave the World Behind, this is what I think of. This critical infrastructure attack. Like, and the premise of that movie is basically the world is under attack by another country, and everything goes into chaos. And when I think of cybersecurity in general, I think of infrastructure attacks. Those are gonna be so critical, like for them to be secure, and everything just be tight. And it's gonna be hard because the people who work in those environments, they could care less about computers. That, at least from my personal experience. Like when you work with people who works in the field or who are good with their hands, which is a skill that we need, they don't care about the technology. You know what I'm saying? They just use it to they see it as another tool to get their job done, to do what they do best. They don't really care about clicking a link, or, you know what I'm saying, they see a message from the CEO asking them for X, Y, and Z. They're just gonna like, okay, whatever, just to keep their day going, because that's not really in their interest. I think that's where a lot of training will come in, as far as a lot of heavy training is gonna come in. Training those people who are in charge of like very critical infrastructure, like water services and electricity and all these other things. Because believe it or not, it already happened in Texas. I hope this article talks about that. But, oh, yeah, there you go. Pro-Iran hackers allegedly hit a system near Pittsburgh, causing it to replace its Israeli-made equipment as a precaution. Meanwhile, another group hit a system in North Texas and caused operational issues. It's going to be the thing, I think, in 2024 and moving forward, just attacking government facilities. Because when you start causing chaos in those buildings, you stop water from flowing into people's homes, you're stopping people from drinking water, clean water, you're stopping people from, getting electricity in their homes. Then the government is going to have a real problem in their hands. It's probably going to cause chaos. It's going to stop people from getting to work. It's going to stop food. That's going to be a real problem, personally, I think. Cybersecurity has been a sore spot for water systems for many years. Similar to other critical infrastructure, The sector is framed and underfunded, so it's less able to keep up with evolving threats. The Environmental Protection Agency has sought to bolster cyber rules, but backed off the plan earlier this year. Also, that's gonna be the other problem because like these people, they're responsible for water. You know what I'm saying? They're not like in charge of these super complex. They're not in charge of these super complex servers. You know what I mean? They're not in charge of these super complex server systems where they think security is important. They're treating water, like, you know what I'm saying, taking your dump water and making it drinkable again. You know what I'm saying? They're producing power. Like they don't. You know what I'm saying? A lot of those C-suite executives don't. I don't think they really care about security like that. They just do the bare minimum and keep it moving. As long as it's functional, they call it a day. So, but yeah. Anyways, I think that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. Much love. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully we can keep this going. I will keep watching for cybersecurity news. And yeah, especially in the financial market and things like that. You already know what it is. I'm done yapping for the day. I yap, you yap. We all get our turns to yap. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and yap on. Catch you later.